Welcome back to the community once again, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the story begins along a quiet border area where normal life has become tense and watchful. In recent days, ladies and gentlemen, official security actions have taken place that have drawn attention from Ghana and Burkina Faso. These actions involved armed forces, local communities, and growing concerns about safety in border regions. What follows is a clear account of events as they have been reported, presented in a careful and factual way. Yes, so the Ghanaian Armed Forces have disarmed 17 servicemen from Burkina Faso. According to the report, these individuals allegedly set up positions inside Ghanaian territory. The incident happened at a time when the security conditions in northern Ghana are described as worsening. Because of this situation, ladies and gentlemen, Ghanaian forces have increased their alert level and their checks along sensitive areas in Ghana. The disarmed individuals are linked to an armed group from Burkina Faso known as the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, also called VDP. At the moment, ladies and gentlemen, now members of this group are being held under control by Ghana authorities. The report states that they are in practice being kept captive. As of now, the government of Ghana has not made a public statement about what will happen to them next. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, no official explanation has been given about their future status or any legal process. So the border area where this incident occurred is close to Bawku, a place that has faced serious security challenges. Local forces in Ghana have deployed strong concern about the possible entry of foreign armed elements into this conflict zone. This concern did not appear suddenly. They are linked to earlier confirmed cases where representatives of certain tribes from Burkina Faso were involved in unrest connected to Bawku. This history has made security forces more cautious and more likely to act quickly when they notice unusual movement. The situation is complex now, ladies and gentlemen, because it involves long borders that are not always clearly marked. In such areas, armed groups and local fighters can move across lines that are hard to define on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. Now, guess what? This will create confusion and raises the risk of misunderstanding between neighboring countries. Ghanaian forces, according to the reports, are acting under these difficult conditions whilst trying to protect their territory. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, another concern is growing in the region. The report described a rising threat linked to violent extremist activity growing across borders. It says that the group known as Gnagna is already recruiting people inside Ghana. The same report says this group is supplying weapons to parties involved in inter-ethnic conflict. These actions add pressure to an already fragile security environment and increases fear of wider instability. Because of these developments, ladies and gentlemen, now the armed forces of Burkina Faso are described as being under heavy strain. The report explains that they are forced to maintain defense in all directions. This includes building defensive positions along all borders. These borders, like those on the Ghanaian side, are not always clearly defined. The need to protect villages and prevent further spread of violence has shaped these military actions. In the middle of this serious discussion, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to pause briefly. If you honestly find value in clear and careful reporting like this, ladies and gentlemen, you may consider liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and of course enabling notifications. Staying informed through reliable news helps people understand events that affect people and security, both near and far. Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, just do the needful now. So as the border situation unfolds, ladies and gentlemen, attention has also turned to actions taken inside Burkina Faso itself. According to the report, the Burkina Faso Army presented what was described as a New Year's gift to the village of Sirba in the Gnagna region. This phrase was used to describe a military operation that led to the changes on the ground of local residents. The 19th Rapid Reactions Unit of the Burkina Faso Army carried out this operation. The unit was liberated the settlement of Sirba and destroyed a base used by armed extremists in the surrounding area. The report does not add further details about the length of the operation or the number of people involved. It focuses instead on the outcome, which was the removal of an armed presence near the village. The Gnagna region was identified as one of the areas facing serious instability in the eastern part of Burkina Faso. So this instability has affected daily life and has required repeated security responses. Earlier, according to the same report, ladies and gentlemen, the armed forces of Burkina Faso repelled an attack on the nearby village of Mani. This shows that the area has seen more than one security incident in a short period of time. These actions by Burkina Faso forces are presented implemented as part of a wider effort to protect communities and reduce the influence of armed forces. The report does not describe celebrations or political statements linked to the operation. It keeps the focus on the fact of what happened and where it happened. Ladies and gentlemen, whilst border tensions and military actions draw attention, law enforcement activities inside Ghana has also been active. In a separate update, the Ghana Police Service reported that 30 police officers have been promoted. This followed a successful operation where officers intercepted ammunition for AK-47 rifles and disrupted a planned robbery. The report connected the promotions directly to this operation, highlighting it as a reward for effective work. Another update from the police asked more detail to ongoing security efforts in the Ashanti Southwest region. Officers foiled a planned armed robbery along the Antuakrum, Manso Nkwanta Road. This action was taken after police acted on intelligence. According to the report, officers found 4 armed forces hiding in a bush near the road. A gunfight followed. During this exchange, ladies and gentlemen, two of the suspects actually lost their lives. 2 others managed to escape. Yes, so the police actually recovered firearms, ammunition, and a vehicle from the scene. So the report does not provide names or further personal details about the suspects. It focuses on the items recovered and the immediate outcome of the operation. In another police action, the Ghana Police Service, working through its special support unit, arrested 3 suspects. These individuals are linked to a series of robberies in Afienya, that is the Atadi, Apollonia, and nearby communities in the greater Accra. So, ladies and gentlemen, the report does not describe the timing of each robbery. It states only that the arrests are connected to multiple incidents across these areas. Together, these events show a period of highlighting security activities in both Ghana and Burkina Faso. Border concerns, military operations, and of course, police actions are unfolding at the same time. Each development adds a new layer to the overall picture of safety, cooperation, and of course, challenge in the region. So the story continues as authorities respond to these situations step by step, guided by the information and conditions they face on the ground. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video.